On July 19, 2026, the final whistle has blown, and Argentina's 2026 World Cup journey has ended in heartbreak. After reaching the final, they fell 1-0 to Spain in extra time, leaving Buenos Aires quieter than anyone had imagined. But the next morning, the flags are still hanging from balconies, and blue and white shirts still fill the streets. The pride people feel for this country has not disappeared with the dream of another trophy. Because Argentina has never been only about football. Beyond the stadium chants are late-night neighborhoods, long family dinners, vineyards beneath the Andes, enormous waterfalls, and the frozen landscapes of the far south. So I am leaving the football headlines behind and beginning my journey here in Buenos Aires. Let's discover what life in Argentina is really like after the final whistle. This is where our journey begins, Buenos Aires. The city feels instantly alive. Buses rush by, car horns echo, and blue and white flags still hang from balconies after the World Cup. I start the morning with media lunas and strong coffee at a small cafe. My Spanish is hesitant, but a smile is enough to make the order work. In San Telmo, cobblestone streets lead past antique stalls and musicians playing in the market. The neighborhood feels old, textured, and full of stories. La Boca shifts everything. Bright houses, football murals, and music spilling into the streets make it feel like an open-air stage. Later, grand avenues and elegant buildings define the city center, while Palermo offers shade, parks, and people sharing mate. I try it for the first time and understand its bitter reputation. By night, tango fills a milonga. My steps are clumsy, but the room is warm and welcoming. Buenos Aires is not just a place to see. It is a city to feel, taste, and slowly become part of. Beyond Buenos Aires, the city slowly faded away. From the window, concrete turned into open fields, long fences, and roads stretching toward a wide, unbroken horizon. The sky felt suddenly larger, heavier, and closer at the same time. Grass moved in soft waves under the wind, while cattle stood still beside the road. Near San Antonio de Areco, old farmhouses appeared between scattered trees, and horses crossed the plains at an unhurried pace. When I stepped outside, the silence was striking. There were no horns, no engines, no crowded sidewalks. Only the sound of hooves on earth, birds above the fields, and wind moving through dry grass. I watched a gaucho prepare his horse before riding into the open land. Later, smoke rose from a fire as meat cooked slowly over glowing coals. Mate was shared in quiet circles, along with simple conversations about horses, weather, and life on the plains. Even when I understood only fragments, the warmth needed no translation. Under that endless sky, time slowed and distance deepened. Buenos Aires had been movement, but here Argentina became silence. After the Pampas, the road dissolved into a landscape ruled by water. Lagoons, reeds, and floating plants slowly replaced solid ground. I stepped into a small boat, and soon the sound of engines disappeared behind me. The water was so still it mirrored the sky like glass. At first, I searched for movement, but then I realized it was everywhere. Capybaras rested along the banks, barely noticing me. A caiman drifted nearby, almost invisible except for its eyes and nostrils. Birds suddenly lifted from the reeds, breaking the silence before vanishing again. Life moved slowly, carefully, and often almost out of sight. As evening approached, the light softened, the water turned gold, and the marsh seemed to stretch far beyond the horizon. I felt less like a visitor watching nature and more like someone briefly allowed to enter a world that had always existed without us. As Iberá faded behind me, the landscape shifted into dense rainforest. Still lagoons became vines, towering trees, and heavy humid air. On the trail, my clothes clung to my skin as insects and birds filled the forest. A local guide pointed out toucans and warned me about coatis. At first, Iguazú was only sound, a distant roar growing louder with every step. Then the forest opened. White walls of water stretched across the horizon. I stopped, unable to take in the scale. Mist rose above the cliffs, softening the light. Some falls dropped like thin silver threads, others shook the ground. At the closest viewpoint, spray soaked my face in seconds. People around me laughed and tried to capture what could not fit in a frame. A park worker said the falls never look the same twice. I had come on a solo trip expecting a waterfall. Instead, I found a living world of water and sound. Leaving Iguazú, the roar of water slowly faded behind me. The rainforest thinned, and the air grew drier. Deep green gave way to red earth, open valleys, and mountains layered in brown, orange, pink, and purple. By the time I reached Salta, it already felt like another country. Colonial buildings framed quiet plazas, while market stalls filled the streets with woven textiles, spices, and the smell of warm empanadas. I stopped for one, smaller than expected, crisp at the edges, filled with beef, potatoes, onions, and gentle heat. Farther north, the road climbed toward Jujuy. Cacti replaced trees, and adobe houses blended into the hills. In Purmamarca, the Hill of Seven Colors rose behind the village like stone painted by time. The higher I traveled, the thinner and colder the air became. Each turn revealed another valley, another village, another shade of red. I had left behind mist, water, and rainforest. Now Argentina felt dry, bright, and exposed beneath an enormous sky. Beyond Jujuy, the road kept climbing toward an even stranger world. Bare plateaus, thin air, and the blinding white salt of the Puna. Beyond Juji, the road kept climbing. I left Purmamarca early, a warm cup of coca tea in hand, as the Hill of Seven Colors slowly faded behind me. The Cuesta de Lipan twisted upward with every turn. Trees grew smaller, then disappeared completely. The air turned thinner and colder, and even a short walk made me breathe harder. Red mountains gave way to bare plateaus and distant peaks. The sky felt unusually close, deep blue, sharp, almost unreal. Then everything turned white. Salinas Grandes stretched across the high plateau like a frozen sea. The salt reflected the sun so strongly, I had to narrow my eyes behind my sunglasses. I stepped onto the surface, feeling the wind move freely across the endless space. Shallow pools mirrored the sky, blurring the line between earth and air. The silence made the place feel vast and almost unreal. After the red valleys, thin air, and endless white, the road finally began descending toward Mendoza and the green vineyards below the Andes. After the salt flats of the Puna, the road dropped into Mendoza and everything turned green again. Vineyards spread across the valleys beneath the Andes, following the land in long, ordered lines. I walked between the vines in Luján de Cuyo under a wide, cloudless sky, while snow still clung to the highest peaks in the distance. At a small winery, I watched grapes move from field to press to barrel, then tasted Malbec where it truly belongs. Each sip felt quietly shaped by the mountains behind it. Lunch came slowly. Bread, grilled vegetables, and meat shared without hurry, as if time itself had softened here. In Mendoza, nothing rushed. Everything waited. But as I continued south, the vineyards faded, the air cooled, and forests began to return. Soon, Bariloche appeared between deep blue lakes and snow-covered peaks. Bariloche already felt like another world. Nahuel Huapi Lake stretched dark and wide between the mountains, shifting from glassy stillness to wind-cut waves. I drove part of the Circuito Chico, where pine forests suddenly opened onto vast views of water and stone. The air smelled of wet earth and cold wood, sharp with every breath. After walking by the lake, I stopped for hot chocolate, watching steam blur the window while wind moved outside. Later, I tried a local craft beer in a wooden restaurant. Warm inside while the mountains stayed wild beyond the glass. Bariloche felt calm, but surrounded by something immense. Standing by the lake, I sensed Argentina opening into a quieter, more elemental space. Beyond the town, the forests thinned again, and long, empty roads stretched south into Patagonia's silence. Leaving Bariloche, lakes, and forests slowly behind me as the road turned east. Mountains faded, trees became rare, and Patagonia opened into dry plains under a vast sky. By the time I reached Puerto Madryn, pine had been replaced by salt and cold ocean air. I walked the waterfront as wind cut across Golfo Nuevo. The city felt quiet, with cafes facing the sea and fishing boats offshore. I had grilled hake with potatoes and a local beer. Simple, fresh, and lighter than the meals inland. The next day, I drove into Península Valdés. The steppe stretched empty until Puerto Piramides appeared, a small village of pale cliffs and deep blue water. From the shore, the Atlantic looked calm, but the wind never stopped. Farther on, Caleta Valdés brought me to penguins moving between rocks, indifferent to the vast coast. At Punta Norte, sea lions crowded the beaches below the cliffs, their calls rising over the waves. Inland, guanacos crossed the steppe as if the road didn't exist. In whale season, southern right whales surfaced near the shore, first a dark shape, then a slow breath breaking the surface. Here, Patagonia felt different. Life followed the sea. Towns faced the wind, meals came from the day's catch, and animals shaped the rhythm of the coast. No forests, only salt, stone, grass, and the Atlantic stretching endlessly outward. Farther south, Patagonia unfolded into vast emptiness, bare plains, jagged peaks, and relentless wind. In El Chaltén, I walked a narrow trail under a restless sky. Cold gusts slowed every step as if the mountain itself were testing me. Fitzroy stayed hidden in shifting clouds, and I wondered if I would ever see it. Then the sky suddenly opened. The mountain appeared, steep, pale, and overwhelming. In that moment, exhaustion disappeared, replaced by quiet awe. In El Caliphate, stone gave way to ice. Perito Moreno rose like a frozen wall, fractured with deep blue veins. A sharp crack echoed, and a massive block of ice collapsed into the lake. I lowered my camera and simply listened. Some places don't need to be understood, they only need to be felt. From here, only Ushuaia remained, the final city at the edge of the world. After days of wind, stone, and ice, my thoughts returned to the people I met along the way. I had traveled alone, yet Argentina rarely let me feel alone. In Buenos Aires, a waiter in San Telmo patiently waited as I searched for Spanish words, then brought coffee, media lunas, and a smile that needed no translation. Across the Pampas near San Antonio de Areco, gauchos shared mate under an open sky of horses, rain, and slow rural rhythms. In Colonia Carlos Pellegrini, life moved with the wetlands. A small shop sold warm cheap pa, which I ate beside a lagoon, while capybaras rested nearby. In Salta, market stalls overflowed with empanadas and spices, and a vendor laughed when I returned for more. In Purmamarca, beneath the hill of 7 colors, even brief conversations felt unhurried, as if time itself softened. In Mendoza, vineyard workers spoke of harvests and patience, and a glass of Malbec arrived with simple food. Farther south, Bariloche offered hot chocolate after cold walks, while Puerto Piramides faced the Atlantic wind with fish and quiet tables. In El Chaltén, a bakery opened before sunrise for hikers. In El Caliphate, caliphate drinks warmed glacier days. Again and again, food became connection. Mate was shared, empanadas passed around, and conversations began without effort. Argentina revealed itself through landscapes, but it was its people who gave them warmth.